if you've got a fawning press corps that writes stories about how you're amazing and Tim Walz is America's granddad that they just didn't know, and they're a dynamic duo together, they've got happy swagger. I mean, like, why would you risk it? I mean, honestly, if you're the person that comes to her and says, we should sit down and do an interview, I think they're going to fire them. They're like, are you kidding? Have you seen the press we get by doing nothing? Why would we screw this up? I get why we want her to do this and why she should do it and why the press is lame. But at the end of the day, if you're them, you're like, hey, this is kind of working.
That's why I think, sorry. That's why I think it's so important that Donald Trump do a debate with Kamala Harris. Because there is absolutely 100%, they feel zero pressure to do any press interviews. She gives the same stump speech every single time she gets up to give it. She doesn't even give new speeches, right? They have her so scripted and the events so carefully choreographed. They know that the press will carry their water for them. So there's no urgency. There's no desire for her team to do these interviews where they know she's going to screw up because she hasn't done an unscripted interview without screwing up in her 3 years of being vice president. So the debate stage is where Donald Trump can expose these things. And even though he might be reluctant to do them with ABC, this debate needs to happen because it's in his advantage to have her on that stage unscripted and to make her defend her previous statements, her policy positions, and her record, quite frankly, under the Biden administration.
Yeah, you know, it's a joke that Kamala Harris is out there in the campaign and all the Democrats and everybody online saying that, oh, Donald Trump is afraid to debate her. First, the debate with Joe Biden is what ended Joe Biden's career. Okay, so Donald Trump is not afraid. The guy just got shot. Yeah. Okay, he popped up on stage and he pumped his fist.
That's a good point.
He went into the National Association of Black Journalists into an absolutely hostile situation for him politically, and actually told them, look, this is the way I see the world, and this is why I think you guys are wrong to cover things the way you're covering it. And I don't like that first question, and he fought back. He's not afraid, and so they're doing that because they don't have anything else to say really, and it's their only logical attack. But this never talk to the press, you know, I'm sorry to say it worked for Joe Biden, right? It helped him get elected. We screamed all day long back in 2020 when I was the Trump communications director about the fact that he was hiding in his basement, and the media didn't care. If they never got access to the guy, and on one of the rare occasions that they did, a reporter who was at the time with the Washington Post, now I think is with CNN, Edward Isaac Dovere, or however you say his name, he stood up. He hadn't had access to the guy for months. He'd been hiding in his basement, and something had happened that day. And his first question to Joe Biden, after not seeing him for months, was, what do you think this incident today says about Donald Trump's soul?
I remember that.
Right? Do you remember that question?
Yes, I do.
Right.
It's slightly better than the what kind of ice cream are you eating from Ed O'Keefe of CBS News.
So it worked for Joe Biden, right? He got elected by hiding. So they're obviously trying to replicate that playbook because she is a disaster. So it worked. He got in office. But what happened? What happened was when everyone saw him in action, it proved that we were right in the first place. They were hiding Joe Biden because he was a mess, and they're doing the same to Kamala Harris. And I hope, God knows, I hope it doesn't work. But sooner or later, she's going to have to open her mouth, whether it's before or after the election, and everyone will realize that what we're saying right now is actually correct.
All right, I want to touch base on a new topic, a new group of voters. There is, at least in my opinion, an effort, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong here, but by both campaigns to reach out to the Gen Xers. Am I got that right?
I think it's Gen Z. I'm Gen X.
Now, Sean, you're probably a Gen Xer.
I feel like the way I feel these days, I feel like a baby boomer. But anyway, all right.
Maybe it's the beard, Sean.
So I don't. Maybe that is it. But let me just start with this. The other day, I think it was Megan Thee Stallion, the performer that got everyone to attend a Kamala Harris rally, posted that Kamala Harris is brat. Okay, for the audience, Tricia, by default, you're the youngest. What does that mean? Explain to us what it means that she's brat. Because I think a lot of people are like, is she a brat? Is she the brat?
Like, Sean, I hate to correct you on your own show, but it was actually Charlie XCX, who was another Gen Z performer. Brat is not only the name of her album, I believe, but it also means that you are a party girl. You tend to say some dumb things. You get a little messy, but you're still down to party. And so naturally for a presidential campaign, I guess it's kind of like fetch. I would say it's kind of like Hot Girl Summer. Do you guys remember that from last year?
Yeah. But what is it? How is this good?
How is this relevant?
How is it good? How would it be positive? She screws up and then she powers on because all she cares about is partying.
Exactly.
How is that good?
Because her whole campaign, because the media is letting it be, is all about vibes and virality. There's no substance. There's no policy. There's no answering tough questions on how you're flip-flopping from everything from fracking and reparations to banning private health insurance, because it's just vibes. It's just Kamala's laughter. Remember Tim Walz continuing to say she's running on joy? Well, people in the United States aren't feeling a whole lot of joy right now when they're paying 20% higher prices at the grocery store, when they're facing immigration catastrophe. It is out of touch, and I know Americans are smart enough not to buy it.
But are young people, I mean, like, why are you, I don't get this then. Okay, so it's like you're the kind of fun girl that makes mistakes, but it's cool. So why, to Tim's point, maybe, does that resonate with young people? Like, it's like, hey, let's vote for her because she's not really good, but it's funny to watch.
Right now they're skating past some people not getting beneath the surface, right? I mean, what Republicans need to connect is that 1 in 3 Gen Z is worried about their finances will lead to a problem of homelessness. We need to tap into that. Because right now they're saying, oh, Kamala looks kind of fun. It seems like the media is saying J.D. Vance is kind of a mean guy. I know Donald Trump's been villainized for a while, but this Kamala Harris, don't know a lot about her. But her and her running mate apparently has big dad energy. So they're not connecting the fact that my quality of life in my country is worse off because of these policies.
Tim, I want to put you back in your seat again. Let's just say that you reprised your role as communications director for the campaign. Okay. How do you answer this question about reaching out to young people? Does the Trump campaign say, we got to be brat too? Do we try to be hip? Do we just talk about issues? What? Kelly's shaking her head. Tim, tell me, I mean, I want both of you to weigh in, but Tim, you tell me right now, you're back in your role. Donald Trump says, hey, Charlie XCX doesn't think this is, like, what do you do?
Well, I don't know that guy, Charlie, whoever that is.
It's a she. I know that much.
Oh, okay. I was just kidding about that. That was me trying to be funny.
Sure you were.
Yeah.
Sure.
So no, they don't try to, out brat her. That's crazy. I'm reminded, but you got to try to send a message and talk to them about something that actually affects them personally, right? I tweeted something that Axios had a story about how Kamala Harris was set to go to some big dinner with a media mogul, a private dinner in someone's house while she was vice president. And she actually had staff stage a mock dinner, and people played the roles of the different people who were going to be at this dinner party. And they had a mock dinner party to help Kamala Harris prep for this dinner that she had to go to one night while she was VP. She wasn't some young kid. She was vice president, right? And so I posted about that and made fun of the idea that she needed to have a practice dinner. And everybody went crazy attacking me. A bunch of lefties attacked me and said, oh no, that just makes her relatable. I have work anxiety too. And so it makes me feel, I don't want the vice president of the United States to have work anxiety. My God. So, but what that tells us is that you have to talk to them about something that does affect them. Talk about that. Talk about how much it costs them to fill up their car. Talk about how much it costs to go buy, I don't know, a tube of Pringles or whatever Gen Z voters eat, right? I don't know. Talk about it in some way that it actually affects them, something they can go, oh yeah, you know what, I experienced that yesterday, like the price of a gallon of gas. Trying to out-brat her, and if Donald Trump, that's not going to work.
So Kelly, he's reached out. I mean, he's reached out to the Nelk boys. He did this video the other day, which I thought was kind of cool. This guy, Aiden Ross, he's a huge following. He brought him one of the Tesla trucks, the Cyber trucks. They did this thing where he sat in it, listened to music with them, got a ton of views. Mm-hmm. I mean, do you do more of that?
Well, social media influencers, the Harris team is utilizing theirs. So is Trump. But social media, I don't know how far that gets you. I think that just what Tim was saying, For the younger generation, and this has showed up in poll after poll, Gen Z is most concerned about home prices right now and the cost of a mortgage and never being able to buy their first home, their starter home, because they've been priced out of the market. So I think Trump can especially talk on this issue, on how we're going to lower the cost of everything, how we're going to lower the interest rates, how we're going to lower the mortgage rates, how we're going to get you into your first home. And that all starts with, becoming energy independent, basically unleashing our dominance in that area, which is dependent on energy is largely what drove inflation. Joe Biden's first days in office, shutting down the pipelines, taking back federal lands so that it couldn't be leased out to oil and gas companies. So I think that is an issue where the Trump campaign can win, and not only win, but get these younger voters that have real concerns over their lives and what how they're still living in their parents' basements, many of them, because they can't afford rents and they can't afford their first homes. So I think that's a good issue to for the Trump campaign to delve into.
That's why you should look out for the Fed to cut rates right before the election.
Yeah, but they're not political, Tim. They're not political.
Oh yeah, totally not political. They've been through all this time, and what do you bet they cut rates like near the end of October?
Yeah. Tricia, what should they do?
What should the Trump campaign do? I think continue to do what they're doing. I do think keep JD Vance out there as the person who can talk to younger voters, because it's not just Gen Z, right? It is the millennials. We are all dealing with the same issues. They just manifest itself in sometimes different ways depending on your different life stages. I think that bypassing the media is what Donald Trump did brilliantly in 2016, right? Just going straight through Twitter. Obviously, that comes with some fault, but I think we need to continue to do that. And when he has these press conferences, when JD Vance does these gaggles, there is some adversarial relationship there, as there should be. But right now, there's a Washington Post report that said 7 in 10 voters don't trust the media to cover politics in a neutral way. The American people already don't trust the mainstream media. So bypass them in whatever way you can, whether it be podcasts, whether it be social media, or just go directly to them through these press conferences.
Good call. Hey, I want to wrap, as I like to do on Thursdays. Just give me, who do you think your winner of the week is and the loser of the week, Tim?
Oh, man. Loser of the week, I'm going to go with that. Loser of the week is Kamala Harris for picking Tim Walz, even though that there's the great fanfare of how awesome he is. And Jezebel, I want to point this out, Jezebel, who's a feminist website. I don't read it every single day, but most days really. They have a story up today and the headline is, for some women, Tim Walz is the dad that Fox News stole from them. So Jezebel sees Tim Walz as a daddy figure. Well, isn't that curious? Back in 2016, they wrote precisely the same story about Tim Kaine. Democrat VP nominee Tim Kaine proves to be the DNC's increasingly charming dad. There you go. So they're always looking for a daddy
Apparently,
figure.
dads matter now.
Yeah, but only a dad who is not actually part of your family. Right?
It's like... All right.
And the winner of the week, I'm going to go with, let's go with JD Vance. I think I like that, walking up to Kamala's plane saying, hey, y'all, what are you guys doing? You want somebody to talk to? I'll talk to you. Pretty good.
Kelly?
I'm going to have to agree with the winner. It's JD Vance. He had a rough entry as Trump's VP, but he has rebounded this week. He's doing every and any interview. He's unafraid to go into CNN or MSNBC and defend his stances, defend President Trump and our policies. So I think he's done terrifically this week. The loser of this week, I'm going to say losers of this week, are those 2 astronauts stuck in space. And Boeing, they can't figure out how to bring them home. They've been up there for so long, and now they're hoping by 2025. This is a personal nightmare for me. Space scares me, but to be an astronaut, to go up there and then just be stranded and not knowing when you can go back into Earth's orbit is just horrifying and really, really underreported.
Can you imagine that call? Hey guys, are you sitting down? Got some bad news.
Yes.
Yeah. All right,
no,
Tricia.
we're in space. We can't sit down up here.
I know. Tricia.
The maniacal winner of the week is Nancy Pelosi. This Tim Walz versus Josh Shapiro coup was all hers. So was the Joe Biden coup. I think that she just had a book, The Art of Power, come out today. I actually just saw her on my train. yesterday from New York to DC, and she looks happy as can be. This is her architecture at work. So she had a good week. Bloomberg has not had a good week from changing their profile from the early 2000s on Tim Walz. They talked about his service and that he served in Italy, and they just changed it to show he served in Iraq. And then, of course, they broke the embargo on the freeing of Evan, and that made a lot of journalists mad, so their credibility is not looking too good these days.
Well, if you enjoyed this content, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and click the notification bell to get more.